Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you. That's depending where you are in the world. It's our nighttime devotion from the devotional Christ Triumphant. The title today, Enmity between Christ and Satan. Genesis 3:15, and I will put enmity between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. The Lord said concerning Satan, that old serpent, that he should bruise the heel of the Christ, but Christ would bruise his head. Thank God he cannot touch the head. With the mind, I myself serve the law of God, said the apostle. The mind and heart are enlisted in the service of Christ, while Satan has enlisted humans and fallen angels to join in his company to league against good. They can bruise only the heel, while in the very act when Satan seems to have triumphed in putting them to torture and death, the faithful who stand in defense of the law of Jehovah are wounding the head of the great rebel. This prophecy of enmity between Satan and Christ is far reaching. It is a delineation of an unwearied conflict between the Christ and his followers, Satan and his angels, the fallen humans united in a desperate companionship to reproach, bruise, wound, and exterminate the followers of Christ to the close of time. This controversy between Satan and Christ was carried on here in this world. Satan was constantly afflicting the Son of God and creating prejudice in the minds of the people. Not only were Christ's doctrines and teachings perverted, misinterpreted, and wrested from their true meaning, but falsehoods followed him everywhere. The misrepresentations that the chief priests, Pharisees, and Sadducees poured into the ears of the people appealed to the worst passions of adulterers, fornicators, and the dishonest, exciting a burning prejudice that made it almost impossible for him to live upon the earth for even 3.5 years after his public ministry began. Why then, Christ has said, should those who hear the truth of God to the world be discouraged, faint hearted? If the world hates you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. Ye are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. They tell, or they will revile you and persecute you, and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God's service. And these things will they do unto me, unto you, because they have known the Father nor me. They have not known the Father nor me. Satan's malignity reached its height when the Lord of glory was crucified. And we may expect in our day that human hearts will be open to prejudice and the falsehoods, wicked misrepresentations, and slander of those who love this kind of satanic work. It is a wisdom from beneath. It is hell born, and its result will be as in Christ's day. Enmity between Christ and Satan. The closer you draw to the Christ, the more you will be tempted put through trials, temptations, just as he did with Jesus. Think about it. When Jesus was baptized, he went off into the wilderness for 40 days and he was tempted. He was hungry. He was thirsty. Can you imagine? I don't know, not eating, not drinking anything for 40 days. I've done 3-day fasts, dry fasts, a few times. I have to say I did struggle, but it is a psychological thing. It's a mindset. And it's about where you focus, where you put your mind. What do you focus your mind on? If you're feeling hungry, do you focus on you're hungry or shift your focus? See, here, Jesus did say, when the disciples couldn't cast out the demons, and he said, you just need the faith of a mustard seed. They said, how can we get this faith? He said, through prayer and fasting. I don't pray and fast enough. I pray every day, 2-3 times a day, but I don't fast enough. We need to pray and fast, especially, and focus on the life Jesus led, his ministry, and however we can make that our ministry. Each of us have our own ministry. This is mine, what I'm doing now. I do this every day. Look back on YouTube in my live videos and you'll see years worth. Years. When I say years, plural, not a year's worth, years and years worth. But as I said, the closer you draw to Christ or to God, the further away you will move away from the world and what the world expects of you, what the world wants you to do. You will draw away from that because we are not of the world, even though we are in the world. Jesus said, if they persecute you, they had persecuted me first. So if you want to follow Jesus, to take up your cross, and he says, if you want to follow me, take up your cross, that means expect to go through what I went through. It's not a literal cross, it's a psychological, it's a spiritual, it's a expect to go through whatever you will have to go through. Everyone will be very individual, but it will happen. But the good news is it will be for a good reason. To stick with it. Just like Stephen did when he was stoned, his eyes were fixed on heaven. Let yours be too.